isn't necessarily us being empowered, but their own kids being empowered with the truth, because now they look at us different, right?
That's hella smart, what you just said, because it kind of just stops the bleeding at that generation.
Because they didn't care about rap until their kids started buying rap.
Peace, peace, peace. It's your girl T.Speaks. I'm back with another episode of Understanding the Black Experience. I am your host, and I'm here to help heal the community one interview at a time. I am with my guest, Professor Q.
I'm here. Hello, everybody.
You're so funny. Thanks for letting me be in your space, first of all.
Thank you for coming through.
Yes.
So we're at American River College in Natomas right now.
This campus it's short and sweet. It's beautiful, but I mean, it's getting the job done. Yeah. So tell us a little bit about you. Let's dive into the interview.
Where to even start?
Where are you from?
I'm from the Bay. So I was born and raised in the Bay Area, mostly along the Mid-Peninsula. So my family is from East Palo Alto and East Menlo Park. So yeah, by the time I was in 4th grade, we moved to Sunnyvale, if you're familiar with the area. Sunnyvale at that time was extremely white. There were some Asian families, but that's all I can remember at that time. And it was very interesting to me because when I moved away from East Menlo Park, it was mostly black.
Really?
So it was a culture shock, kind of, but not in a bad way. I've always been curious about other people, so I befriended 2 girls. I talk about them all the time. I wish I could find them, but Omoy and Akiko, and both of them were from Japan.
Really?
So they didn't speak much English, but we would jump rope together during recess and everything. And
that was enough.
Well, that and like they brought the best food. Like they brought bento boxes every day. So because I'm curious, I was always like, so what's that? And they would let me taste stuff. So so Japanese food became a fave since 4th grade.
That's what's up.
My parents don't eat that though. So
so you're a teacher here at ARC.
Yeah.
What subject do you teach? I
teach psychology. At my last college, I taught psychology and child development, which are 2 different departments there. So, and that was fun because I've actually worked in K through 14. So being able to, have conversations with folks who are going to be working with young kids and who want to go on to become teachers in elementary and stuff was really amazing. That was a great experience, actually.
And you can shift out like the bad apples and the people. You know what I mean?
There weren't, but the whole time I taught child development, like there were none. There were even people in there who were just parents and just wanted to know how to deal with their kids better or whatever. And so they all added something to the class, and it was always so amazing, to see people grow over the course of. Well, there we're on quarter system, so it's 12 weeks.
It's intense.
Yeah,
it's a freaking master's program.
It's all, we're off to the races. So, I've been here now for 3 years.
3 years?
No, 2 years. Yeah, 2 years.
And you teach psychology here. How do you like it?
I like it. I'm in I think it's called CTAC, CTAC, I think. But it's basically a program for high school students to get units.
Nice.
So although the entire class is not high school students, most of the class is, and they are on top of it.
That is so good.
Yeah.
That's so good. That's encouraging to hear too, because high school students, they don't really be on it, but it's like, and I remember being in college and like, if you wasn't on it, like, man, why are you there? Like, I loathe the people that were slackers. Like, I've never been about that slacker life, which is why I'm so high strung.
Right.
But
And no, I don't want to be in a project with you.
You know what I mean? And so it's like, how do you balance like the administration and just your personal life and then just the students? Because I have a lot of friends who are, in the teaching realm, and they're like, it could be a hot ass mess sometimes.
Yeah. I think K-12 is more difficult than higher ed.
Yeah.
Because they have to shift between like 6 different classes of students during the day, 5 or 6. Whereas, well, I was thinking high school, but whereas with us, I'm an adjunct.
What does that mean?
It means I'm part-time.
Okay.
So we are not, our benefits work a little bit different. We don't have any real, what's the word I'm looking for?
Benefits or tenure or?
We don't get tenure.
Okay.
As an adjunct, you'll never ever get tenure. What I think amazes students when I tell them, those who are taking higher ed classes, so when I tell them most of the teachers who will ever teach them will probably be adjuncts or part-timers or non-tenure track, because we represent like 66% of
Wow.
teaching in higher ed, like across so
any day you could be cut without a moment's notice.
we're contracted workers.
Oh, there, yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Christ. What do you think is like one of the biggest hurdles of, like, let's say a black child, for example, growing up in poverty? Do you think that there's like a disadvantage to them in the educational realm, or could they bust through it and come off and be successful and get their master's and doctorate and all that stuff? Like, what do you think about, what do you say to the kid that is coming from an abusive household? What type of challenges do you think that they would
abusive
have?
household or poverty?
I know. See, I'm dealing with a teacher. She's going to show me. It's 2 differences. I'm like, it's all the same to me.
It's all hard.
It is all hard. I would say poverty.
I think when it comes to, if we're dealing with poverty, I think it's up to the teachers to recognize when their students need help and need resources. I know that not all teachers know what those resources might be or where they are. I would hope that they have, a pretty good network of folks, who could like help them out, especially at the school. But we know not all schools have that. But, I mean, shoot, they can do a Google on their own to, find stuff. But first and foremost, they have to know who their students are, and have compassion for their students. And they need to be that first line of defense for those kids. I think if the child is, because all kids are super resilient. Even when they drop out of high school, they're still resilient. Like they
Absolutely.
So I think that the child who has good self-esteem, who has a good self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is their belief in their ability to succeed, right? To flourish. So if they have a good self-efficacy, I think that those things can make it so that, right? Because along with that comes curiosity.
For
and
sure.
So, I wouldn't say that I was in poverty. We're definitely very low income when I was coming up. I was fortunate though that I had my grandma and my mom's brothers and sisters. My mom is the oldest, so they all took care of me and stuff. But when it came to school, it never dawned on me that we were low income. My
mom, don't know what you don't know, I guess.
Right, and my mom made me proud of who I was at a young age. So my blackness, even when we moved to Sunnyvale, to a very white space, my blackness didn't count against me in my mind.
Why do you think public schools get a bad rep?
Because there's so much that they have to deal with.
I mean, this is going to be a conversation starter.
There's so much that public school teachers have to deal with. I believe all public school teachers go into teaching not because it's easy, and maybe there are some people who go into teaching because they're like, okay, this is the easy way out of college.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
That's not most of them. Especially if you don't like kids, like you have no reason to be there.
Some of them come to the table like, I don't like kids.
Yeah.
I don't even want them. I'm just here for a paycheck.
Yep.
You know, I want my summers off.
Right.
Vacations.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, what do you say to the kids that are like in that environment where, damn, they can't win at home, they can't win at school, they're kind of stuck?
And unfortunately, a lot of our kids get thrown in those situations, no matter how resilient they are, no matter how much they show, because the teacher is stuck, right? And it's unfair.
Yeah, it is.
And
it's
I
so
think
underpaid.
even they
Teachers
are very underpaid. And as a matter of fact, in the state of California, Elk Grove, I think, is one of the best districts, they said, for teachers to get paid. But yeah, outside of that, it's like,
so everybody wants to go over there, you know. But what about North Highlands, and what about Del Paso Heights?
Right.
And, you know, Carmichael will come up, it's okay, but
no, when I moved up here, I was watching I don't know what I was watching. I was trying to just figure out what Sacramento was about and stuff. And I was online doing something, and I noticed the closer we got to the state capital, like the worse off the education at those schools were, and that was weird to me.
That's weird.
That was it was really odd. So with public school, it's not just like dealing with the union, but then you're dealing with school district, and then the school district is dealing with the state, because the school district still doesn't have autonomy.
Okay.
Prop 13 made it so that the state had control over the like what type of curriculum the students were going to have in each district in the state of California, and that happened in the 70s. So they still aren't autonomous. Like, each district should be autonomous. They know the students, you know, who come to their schools. They probably know what curriculum works better, right?
For sure.
But if the state is telling you have to use this, so
you kind of got to use that.
Yeah, they can supplement. They can supplement, but that's going to take more time and effort. And
I got a great question. I just want to check the time.
Okay.
We're actually running down on time. There we go. So, we're all up in Black History Month. What do you think is not being taught in the classrooms as it pertains to African American history?
Nothing.
What should be taught, in your opinion?
Oh man, like it should all I mean, you already have this fat old U.S. history book or whatever, so just get rid of some of the other stuff, you know, like who cares about the names of whoever had wars with who? No, but honestly, I love Jeopardy, but I names, like, I just, So, man, so I, as a kid, I love math and science. So I always focused on inventors, Black inventors.
So Black inventors.
Definitely. Because, I mean, they talk about STEM and science, technology and stuff, and it's like, well, let's talk about where some of this stuff comes from. Like, are you kidding me right now?
Because all they push on us is Malcolm X, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King Jr., and then that's all I know.
Harriet Tubman.
And Rosa Parks.
Rosa Parks.
Those four come to the forefront, and that was it.
That was it.
And nothing else happened in between then.
Right.
And so, you know.
Y'all were never here before the Mayflower.
Right.
By the way, you should read that book, Before the Mayflower. Y'all didn't come here until we brought y'all here.
I know.
Right? And then you were slaves, so like there's that cut off of what happened before. So then slavery, but they don't really talk about slavery. They don't talk about the antebellum South. Like they don't it's just like, yeah, so slaves, like, you know, free labor, okay, and we skip forward to other economics, and it's like,
you guys go.
and it's like, yeah, but
and grateful that
slavery is the reason why you have your stock market, is the reason you have a Wall Street, is the reason why you have like pharmaceutical companies and stuff, right? It was, they were all created with money made off of us.
Wow. And you know they
Banks.
would never push that. They would never push that narrative, because then it would probably empower us more than like, you know.
And you know what? I think a large part of it isn't necessarily us being empowered, but their own kids being empowered with the truth, because now they look at us different, right?
That's hella smart, what you just said. Because it kind of just stops the bleeding at that generation.
Because they didn't care about rap until their kids started buying rap.
Yeah, the interview's over. I'm just playing. But,
I mean, same thing happened with rock and roll. Like, they didn't care, you know, about whatever music we were creating until their kids were like dancing and moving around. They were like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. She dropping some gems, y'all. So tell me about your book.
Okay, so I wrote a book last year. So this is the first book, if you can see it. The first book I wrote is called Dreaming on High. Someone asked me, why? Is it because you're like high before you go to bed? And I was like, no, not necessarily. It's just because I find that there's so much happening in my dreams, you know, like my dreams speak to me, and in so many different ways, and they help me understand what I'm going through on a day-to-day base. So I wrote this book, and it's it's basically an anthology of a few dreams I've had since I was in high school, that I can remember really well, because for whatever reason I go back to those dreams, mostly because they're just quirky and whimsical and weird. So like so in one I can't remember I think it was the ballet that I read to you guys, but one of the dreams I'm talking to a brother and sister and their elephants.
That's cool.
And we're walking into a mall. So like so waking up, you know, as a teenager, like, what in the heck does that mean? Like
meanings, like every little symbol has a meaning.
So what I did was, for each one of the dreams, at the end of it, my own interpretation of what that was meaning and what was happening at that time in my life. And the reason I chose this, in case any of you guys are wondering, like, why that though? Because my friends on Facebook get a kick out of me talking about my dreams.
I love it.
Because I'm always like, oh, it's one of those things, you know, I don't know about that worm. Or like, I had a dream that I was like on this speed roadway, and it was like it was like, you know, when you used to play with your Hot Wheels or whatever, it was like that, you know, it was like one of those kind of roadways. It was like a track, like a speed track, but it was like, I think it was supposed to be a highway. Anyway, so the Thundercats showed up in that, and and it was just weird because this big old truck like came up and like turned into like
what did it turn into?
It turned into a cat, and then as it came closer to me, it like turned into Chitara, and I was just like, this is just the weirdest thing. And I did not interpret that, you know, but that was something I shared on Facebook. Everyone's like, what is going on in your brain? In the power of dreams within.
The power of dreams
within. Check it out.
Tell us about your second book.
So my second book I published in January of this year, and it's a book I wrote many moons ago. And it's called Isis Learns That Being Different Is Okay. The little girl in the front, she has what's called princess hair, because my stepdaughter Isis called that princess hair. So this book is based off of experiences she had. She was in second grade, but for all intents and purposes, she should have been in first grade. But we were advocates for, you know, our kids' schooling. All of them actually are a year ahead.
Nice.
So, so she was going through some things, you know, kids were picking on her and you're not supposed to be in this class and, you know, you're too little to be here. So I figured I would write her story. And so I wrote her story all those years ago. And then recently I had it mailed to her. She didn't know I was publishing it.
My heart is full as you talk. I'm gonna try.
So I had it mailed to her, and so as soon as she got it out of the mailbox, she called me. Because she lives with her mom.
Yeah.
So she called me and she said, "Oh my gosh." She said, "I love it. Thank you so much." And I asked her, I said, "Do you remember me writing that?" And she said, "Yes, I remember." Yeah. And I said, "And she has princess hair." And she's like, "I know."
That's so adorable.
So she's now 1 year out of high school. And she's just like working and stuff and trying to figure out her life, but
she'll always have that book to like support her.
Exactly.
In her journey. And I'm such an advocate for writers and just for like creativity, especially with parents, because what if we had something from like our great grandparent?
Right.
How badass would that be?
That would be dope.
Oh my God, I would just lose my mind. If, you know, I had like the journal of like my great grandmother, or so I think
journal.
Girl.
Yeah, because my grandma, she passed away last year in May, but she had dementia and stuff, and I thought I can finally get these stories from because my grandma she just was steadfast. She didn't want to talk about her childhood and stuff.
Okay.
And so over the years, it started in elementary school, but over the years I would ask her, you know, "Grandma, can you share with me?" And she, nope. Like that was nope. She would not talk about anything. Right. So as she and I know this is bad, y'all, but I'm sorry, but I was like, well, her mind is a little, you know.
Yeah.
So maybe now, nope. She still wouldn't. I was like, oh, she has mental fortitude.
Personality. Yeah.
So, and then it got to a point where she couldn't even really speak. So,
So did she write anything? Did she leave anything? Pictures?
Nothing. But what she did do when I was a little kid, I still have these books. It's like 3 different books. And the stories, like they're like little adventure stories or whatever, but
that she wrote,
she didn't write. I don't even know how she did it, but somebody did it. And so they're adventure stories. They're, you know, small like this, but it has my name in it and like my cousin's name, so it's our adventures, you know. And so maybe that was somewhere in the back of my mind. I don't know, but
I'm here for it.
I still have those books.
Keep them for sure.
So
what is like? I know it's amazing. So what is like your prayer? I know you said you're not, you know, Christian, but what is like your heart for the community? Your prayer. If you had a prayer, what would it be for the Black community?
We need healing first. We need to recognize our strength. No one bullies anyone, you know, without seeing that person's strength, right? Anti-Blackness around the globe, the reason I've always believed this, the reason why it happens is because they see how great we are. The problem is that we don't see how great we are. So, so first healing, recognition of our greatness, and then find ways to move together forward, because no one else is going to do it. No one else is going to do it. Like, we have to do it.
It is definitely up to us. I'm definitely an advocate for healing, getting in front of your life, paying off your debt, getting in front of your mental health. I think mental health is a huge issue in the Black community. I struggle with mental health. My goodness.
I mean, even if it's not a disorder, just mental health in general, you know, we have to deal with so many different things that are draining. And it drains our mental capacity. I mean, just thinking about trying not to think about something drains your mental
Right.
capacity. So now you add in all this other stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so that's why I have like my sons, they'll go to, I don't know if you ever heard of Hawk, but Hawk Institute, they're on the weekends. And so it's basically a Saturday school. My 13-year-old, I take him to West, which is more like what you're doing, like what we're talking about. And so, like, how do we rebuild, and how do we resist, and how do we, right? So how do we do these things? So he goes, I take my 13-year-old to both of those. One is the first and third Saturdays. The other one is the second and fourth.
For sure.
So I'm like, you know, you need to see both. You know, okay, this is fraternity land over here, and over here, this is the community.
I love it.
So, and he likes both of them. You know, I mean, I think it's harder on me because I'm like, I don't want to be up that early in the morning. And
but you remember your why. Doing it. It's bigger than.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I had a blast. I want to respect the time. I can talk to you all day.
We'll have fun.
But where can our viewers find you?
You can find me on Facebook at A World of Tomorrow. You can find me on Twitter at Beckham4 _change. So that's at Beckham4 _change on Twitter.
Any emails? How can they purchase the books?
On Amazon. So both books are on Amazon. I've self-published both of them. Both come in digital and paperback. So
Right.
Yeah, check out my author's page, and you can find other information. But yeah,
you're a catalyst for healing the community. Absolutely.
I'm trying to do the best that I can. Let's see what happens. Hopefully the consulting business, it'll take off.
Tell us about that real quick.
So I just started a consulting business, and it's called A World of Tomorrow. It's on Teachable. So if you go onto my Facebook page, you'll find that there. But I've wanted to work with K-12 educators for a very long time, go into their classrooms, kind of observe, you know, what's happening, and then help them strategize. I also created a mini course that's actually for everyone. So there's a reflection piece, and then, you know, looking at how we interact with other people and how we communicate with other people, what our body language says, what, you know, trying to slow you down. Like, you know, it may not be what you think it is. You're creating that story in your head.
All the time. I need to take that course.
So you know, and so I would like the educators I work with to start with that mini course, and then we can, you know, flow from outside of there. And I actually got the idea from it was a research paper, but it was based on first year teachers.
Nice.
So I've been using it in the classroom for at least 10 years, and it works. And I'm like, I would love to have everyone do this. So so I'm doing that too, and just trying to find my niche in the world. And
I think you found it.
Yeah,
I think you have it.
I definitely need to do 1,000 different things. So it's working for me so far. I'm not bored yet.
Well, I want to take the time to just thank you for being on the show, and just for everything that you do, and for showing up for yourself first so that you can show up for everybody else.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now let's get better sleep, y'all.
I know, me too.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, be sure to check her out on her Facebook, Instagram. Be sure to check me on my Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube now. Understand the Black Experience with Professor Q in the house. And your girl T Speaks. Thanks so much for joining us. Till next time, love you guys. Bye.